All right, we are back. We had a little intermission because right in the middle of this interview, I had a bomb alarm go off and I had to run to our shelter, which luckily is in the house, and did some deep breathing to calm my nervous system. And now we're back talking about conscious conception and just holding space for all of it, the crazy stuff that's going on in our world and, the nervous system activation that so many of us are going through, and also holding magic as well. So I'm going to pass it back to you in conscious conception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm covered in goosebumps. I really see you, Ashley, and honor your courage in this human experience, the breadth of the whole range, right? The whole range. And um, yeah, because it's not about escaping it all. I have a lot of friends who just on the topic of birth, like prepared and wanted this a specific birth and have had very different birth experiences. And so it's like just I have such awe for the human experience is really what it is. Sometimes things actualize exactly how we want, and sometimes it's not at all. And like how can we be in trust regardless? And especially something as sacred as pregnancy and birth, I really was grateful that you asked me to share my birth experience because I haven't ever publicly shared them. And I didn't know when I first gave birth what the state of birth was in the US specifically, but also the world. And so yeah, I honor all of the range of experiences that have happened and will happen. And
Amen.
um, Yeah, I guess you know what it is like what it's coming forward is like the depth of how connected we are as mothers. Once we're initiated into motherhood, it's like how connected we are to humanity. Like it's so deep and overwhelming sometimes. Like right now, I'm working out a layer of can I allow myself to be in a season where things are actually so blissful? Like everything is working out for me in a way that I'm like, wow, after coming out of a many year hard cycle, it's so contrasty. And I have some friends, very close friends, who are in real hard seasons right now. And I'm like, wow. So my perspective, with this initiation of motherhood the third time, like I'm really honoring that I was a maiden mother and now I'm a mature mother. I'm turning 40 in a few months and I'm like the queen mother archetype.
Mhm.
And so there's something around it's not just about me and my experience. It's like it's impossible now to cut off the whole. And yet, how can I allow myself to really simmer in this season of such profound blessings that are happening for me and my family right now without being insensitive to another person's experience, but also not capping it because I feel it like it's this wave that's coming in and there's so much more that wants to come in. And so, anyway, that's a little tangent, but it feels really present right now. Like how can we be with our own experience and also the world's experience? Because there's a lot of intensity right now, and then there's also incredible magic and joy available too. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for speaking to that. And I really got full chills when you said, as you become a mother, you just become intricately connected with all of humanity. And there's this expansion in our wombs and our hearts that happens where like everything goes in there, like everything fits in there. And we just, there's room for it all. And so, yeah, we can honor and keep making ourselves entitled and available to a life of magic, and also hold all the other experiences and continue to trust anyway. So, yeah, I think that's so profound and just exactly poignant right here in this moment with the reality, that we just experienced.
Right. My midwife said, she's like, when the milk comes in, expect to cry the tears for all mothers.
Yeah.
Like there tends to be this like the milk comes in days 3, 5. It's different for everybody. And she's like, expect, people say it's hormones, but she's like, she really believes it's like we cry all the tears. Like as our milk comes in, there's this huge wave of emotion usually. And it's like she really believes that it's the weeping, the tears of all mothers everywhere, both the highs and the lows, and just like that. It's such a heart experience. And that felt really true for me as
Yeah, I
well.
resonate with that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, so back to conscious conception. So I told my girlfriends, I was like, that's baby making sex, but we were being careful. And I just knew I was pregnant and I was. And it was like, and then I had a miscarriage almost immediately.
Oh, okay.
And uh and Steve was there for me in a way. It was like it was I cried tears of grief that were so deep and old. And it was like this final letting go of grief that was so multi-layered. And on the other side of that, he like crying the last tears of heartbreak and really letting it go was that it just, I didn't know I wanted this. And then it was very clear like, oh, yeah, if we want this, this pathway is available, we get to consciously choose it. And I couldn't have any part of my being have an out of like, this happened to me. This soul was like, I want to come in, you need to want me. And it needs to be a full yes. And no place in me can I be playing small or disempowered or anything like that. And so it became just instantly clear. We only knew each other for like 2 months at the time. And
Wow.
so 3 months maybe. And then we decided to consciously conceive, and I got pregnant like 6 weeks later or something like that. And our beautiful son Merrick is here. And so it's been quite the journey. It's been a turbo button. Steve and I have blended families. He hadn't been married or had children before. He's become like a stepfather role to my daughters, and I'm just so in awe of him taking like on. There's just been so many sacred contracts that have so much has happened this year. It's been the best year of my life so far. And yeah, I'm living into this whole other reality. So
That second time that you conceived, did you know it? Was it one of those baby making love experiences the second time?
no, I didn't know. I mean, it could have been any time, but once like the doorway was open, it was actually interesting. It was a very there were a lot of facets of things happening. And so I actually didn't think I was pregnant. And then I was pregnant. I was like, no, I don't think I'm pregnant. And then it was like, oh, no, I'm pregnant. And actually, my three of my business partners were here. We had rented an Airbnb, and one of them like rolls her own tobacco. And I was like, oh, I'm not pregnant. So I decided to do like a parasite cleanse and start smoking cigarettes. Like, I was like,
Perfect
just
timing.
perfect timing because we were in this like book writing retreat. We like wrote a book at this like really witchy cabin in the woods. And we had all of our daughters there, and it was just really there's this like edgy thing going on. And then I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, so I called a friend who was a doctor, and I was like, are 5 days of cigarettes gonna like hurt my baby? And by the way, I was on this thing that's like a parasite cleanse. They're like, no, just don't keep doing it. Anyway, so that was kind of funny. I really
That's
didn't think
so funny. It's like a
I
grace
know.
period we get in those first few weeks, of like,
It was
okay,
just a
clean
little
it up.
bit. And I had never felt called to smoke, but like it was not, it was just, it was like this book writing thing. Anyway, it was very funny. So
So
yeah,
funny.
so my pregnancy with Merrick, I didn't let myself like admit to myself how much I wanted him to be a boy.
Mm,
I love my daughters. I wanted them to be girl. Like I knew, like my initiation as a like having daughters was so sacred and so right and is so like my relationship with them is my greatest. I'm so proud of my relationship with them and who they are. And I have been just doing this conscious father line healing for 7 years. I love men and men love me. I mean, there have been the amount of things that I just thought like, oh my gosh, to have a son, to like, oh, to have a son. at this time. And so, yeah, my dad was just very present the whole time. I really believe him and the bees orchestrated me and Steve meeting. Um, and I've gotten messages through friends who aren't even like channels who say, like, your father has incessantly been telling me things to tell you, like in dreams and they like throughout all of it. Like the amount of affirmations that he is on the other side as like a benevolent ally supporting this season is undeniable at this point. And not that I needed proof, but it's been very playful. And so
That's so
my
powerful.
it's so powerful. And so yeah, so yes, conscious conception with Merrick and
And the calling in of the warrior boy son. It's so powerful. I was in a spirit baby retreat in France this summer with Dakota Chanel, one of my water priestess teacher, and we all had similar experiences in that when we started, connecting to our spirit babies, we started connecting to girls because we just want girls. And actually, we were like, we didn't realize it. We had this really beautiful shared experience where it was like we were stuck on like, this is a girl, this is going to be a girl. And then there's this realization, well, there's a 50-50% chance that it's not going to be a girl. So I had to do this. And as well, Dakota went through the same process of having to heal that part of us that is attached to this girl and to really also welcome in the boys. And what we found through these days of meditation and pilgrimage through the Mary Magdalene sites in France and just connecting to our spirit babies was these boys who are coming in have like really powerful warrior spirits. And once we really anchored that and received that message, then we were like excited. We're like, yeah, we want boys. We want boys and girls. We want both. And yeah, so I'm so happy for you that it worked out that way that you got to have these two beautiful girls and then your probably final child, but who knows, is a boy and it really feels like that warrior and I'm so curious to hear about this initiation that you went through with him. Yeah. So did you know when you knew that you were pregnant with him that you wanted to do a home birth? Yeah.
yes. Yes. So this pregnancy has been an opportunity for me to see myself in current time. So part of the blessings of being more self-initiated in my spiritual process and motherhood was I cultivated very slowly, it felt like really knowing who I am from the inside out without feedback. That was a huge part of my life path. Like I was never told I was beautiful, didn't get a lot of attention from my father. Like I really didn't see myself, like I came in with oneness consciousness, so much so that I didn't know myself, like I couldn't see myself. And so it's been a long journey. And so this pregnancy was the final bell being rung of you gotta see yourself. Like, yes, the oneness consciousness, but like I didn't understand how powerful and empowering my previous birth experiences is. Like I've had a very profound life, and there's just this tendency of not really in the past owning it,
Yeah.
like into owning it, right? Like this individuality side of it, like, wow, that was badass of me. Wow. Like I just thought, oh yeah, this is just what it is. This is who
Yeah.
we are. Like on to the next magical experience. So for me, this was like my word for this year has been precision. And
Mm.
it is, it feels very much like the precision of a sword, the sword of truth, the sword of sovereignty, the sword of like, yeah,
Just the warrior.
knowing. Yeah, the warrior, the knowing, but like the peaceful warrior. And that's
Yeah.
so Merrick's spirit is the
Oof.
peaceful warrior. Oh, he's so peaceful. This pregnancy was the most peaceful experience of my life. People would come up to me every day. Wow, you're so radiant. You're so beautiful. I just feel peace emanating from you. It's just like, and then I get angry out of nowhere, like these bursts of anger. I'm like, oh my God, I wonder who this child is. Like, peace to anger, like that, you know?
Wow.
So, and it's true already. So,
Yeah, that
and
feels
it's
like a
very
sword.
sweet.
I mean, the sharpness, of anger when used properly in its moment is very sharp, right? But then it's gone. because
But
it's
it's
effective.
so yeah, so my pregnancy, the first part of the pregnancy was very hard in that there's a lot of, and I know you've shared this, around the awakenings of old things in our cells and our epigenetics that come. And so there was a lot. This was a turbo button of quick healing, like karma, completion, shoop, 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 shoop everywhere. Because the people involved are alive. I won't go into detail. And it was like a master class, like master class in some maternal line, mother line, daughter line, like me as the like no more, and then paternal grandfather stuff, and just so much like turbo button of healing that got to get cleared out to make way for this soul, this baby who's like, yeah, I'm not here to play those games, so it needs to get wrapped up now. And that's what it felt like, just like wrap up, wrap up, wrap up. And then and so, yeah, so that was the main, I guess the main summary is that I got to really anywhere where I was not acknowledging who I actually am, got to get cleared. And I feel elevated in my power, elevated in my self-knowing in a way that I'm just really grateful. There's no more playing the little girl in my life anywhere. And so there was some big grief around where I'm like, wow, like, hot potatoing power, not owning certain things. And it's like, how great. I hopefully have decades left of my life to now relate from this stance. And so, yeah,
It's
that was the
it's
pregnancy.
it seems like your birth with Arya really like set you up also for this experience, like that very grounding earth mama, like own everything, no floating out of your body, like we're here. It seems like that really assisted, like from looking at it from this bird's eye view right now, like the pregnancy process of like, okay, no stone left unturned, no denial allowed, like just full ownership of everything. And I really feel that with my pregnancy right now. Like I'm so also from, being so in close proximity to you and witnessing your process, it's empowered me so much. And also just my general, spiritual awakening has happened many, many years ago. So I've been so tuned in and so conscious about this pregnancy that I can feel I'm being called to move back to my home town or like my home area of the world, which I haven't lived there for at least a decade and a half. Um, and I'm already seeing the stuff that I thought I already healed with my parents, with, my family back home. And it's like, okay, no, actually, this baby is not allowing any of this old stuff that you're kind of glazing over to be glazed over. It's like, nope, we're digging it up and composting it. So I love that so much. And birth and conception and pregnancy can be really profound healing for the family constellation, for the lineage. And that way we don't pass on those patterns to this next generation. I really feel like that's what they're asking for. These pearl children, like these angelic children, are wanting a real, like really low level base wounding and high, high love available to them so that they can really fly in this life. So beautiful. So
That
beautiful.
feels so true in my body. I'm covered in goosebumps. That feels so, so true. They're so courageous, these souls coming in.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
mm,
Hmm.
mm. So, when did your birth vision come to you? Was that like after you had hired your midwife and spoke to her, or, was it before that? Like when did you do the midwife thing, and when did this vision come to you for your birth,
Hmm.
Merrick?
So my older daughter, Isis, who goes by Aurora, her middle name, Aurora Harmony,
Love it.
there was a whole other storyline going on with her. And I was praying some sincere prayers, and she found God And when that happened, and she happened to find, I just always assumed she'd find a feminine God. And she found a masculine God. And so we've been going to church, masculine God church, and it's been really amazing. And something around that click opened up room for me to then like one child. Yeah, I'm learning to be a mother of three. The pregnancy. And so something around that like storyline happening then opened up this room. So I think I was about 6 months pregnant when then I was like, whew, okay. Like, and then I have a practice called vision alchemy, and it's a combination of aligning with our soul intention and our human intention and affirmations and mirror work and ritual. And so I had a vision alchemy statement, and then I kept refining it. And I think you have a copy of it. And so, because I emailed it to you, and I'm on to my next ones, and my next ones have actualized already, and it's really exciting. But I would write it 3 times every morning in that liminal space before I do anything else. And I would speak it out loud, either in the mirror or audio text to my accountability buddy, my life accountability buddy. So I'm a huge fan of community. But if you don't have that, you do mirror work. And so I would do it every day. And then I would spend time in the bath midday. I take midday baths as a water priestess. It's like water is our friend. And I would just do in my midday soak from about 7 months till the end, would visualize the birth without attachment, knowing that it's a mystery. And so I knew my self-worth is not tied to this outcome, and I would love this. And so it was every day, very ritualistic. And I was in a very prayerful space. I was very cautious of protecting my mind and my heart those last few months, um, just not trying not to be influenced by other people's experiences and projections and things like that. And I think those 3 things really helped tremendously.
Yeah, this is so critical, not, being influenced by other people's projections. It's so hard, especially, I mean, for me, I find it to be so challenging because I love people and I love community and I want to listen to them and I want to I want to include. And it's really this, I felt it right from the beginning, like this time of like really protection and being so meticulous about what comes in and what doesn't. And I feel it's a whole new level of power because I've also felt this feeling of like the people pleaser just disappearing, like don't care, like doesn't matter, I'm not phased. I can just say no. So I wrote your vision statement in the chat. Do you want to read it?
I would love to read it. I am beyond grateful now that my birth experience was peaceful, connected, enjoyable, and empowering for me. That my son Merrick and I are healthy and well. That his entrance into this world was divinely orchestrated and love filled. That Steve, Isis, and Arya and I are more connected than ever. And that my first 40 days postpartum was the most nourishing experience of my life so far.
Hmm.
It's so crazy. It happened. That's exactly what happened. It feels like years have passed since I was saying this, but it's only been 11 and a half weeks. So,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
I just love seeing the look on your face when you're reading it. Like it's just such
Uh,
pure divine joy.
Such joy. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I got to have that. I had the home birth in our bathtub with Steve there. My girls came in at the end. Um, I've I have rewired my maternal line, like lack of support. Like I am a nourished mother. I am the nourished mother. I am the nourished woman. And the gift of that for myself and now the line of people that come beyond me, I am so fucking proud of the work I've done. And the work has looked like letting it be beautiful, be nourished, be supported, no denial, as you said, no self-denial allowed, complete permission to be here, take up space, be cared for, be powerful and be cared for.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
And
juicy.
yeah, it's been epic. And for
Oh,
my daughters to see it and like them be in the kitchen with the aunties, like making the Ayurvedic food and like processing the placenta and caring for their brother and caring for me. And then also the humanness of, all of it and the messiness and the milk and the blood and the cry and the, all of it. It's just been, it's good. No holding back. I fully gave myself permission to show up for my experience. And something that was in my previous birth experiences that I didn't know was there was so much, and not that my mother asked me to do this, but like being the good daughter. And so I actually chose for my mother not to be at this birth and for me to take up my space as a mother already and as a woman. And there was something really important for me around, like you said about the people pleaser, like unhooking for this period of time, this end of pregnancy and fourth trimester around, I am not here to support anyone. My only responsibility is myself and my three children. And so there was something really big around boundaries and energetics for me because and I feel it coming back in where I have capacity and bandwidth to show up as a friend, as a daughter. But for a while there, it was like, nope, this is what needs to happen. And so it was a big reset for my relationship with my mother inside of myself. And I could see how that mirrored around how I related to mentors, how I related to other women. So it's just this big reset button that got set.
yeah, I can really feel that. I can feel that so much. I'd love to know the detail, like more details. So like getting down to a little bit of the brass tacks. Um,
Yeah.
so when did you know that you were going into labor? What were your early signs? Were you like, was it more dreamy? Was it really obvious? Did you have, start to have contractions on the due date? Was it after the due date? Tell us about pre-labor.
I was so uncomfortable. I've never experienced such discomfort in my body for the 3 weeks leading up to birth. I was a wreck. I was one of those crying, uncomfortable pregnant women sitting on the side of the road at the end. Like I could not do it anymore. I was like, I am in so much pain. Everything hurts. I was like weepy and it was hard those last 3 weeks. I was like, I need this to be over.
Oh,
And so when we kept going in to get checked, and my midwife's like, yeah, you're 3 centimeters, you're 4 centimeters. Like, I'm surprised labor hasn't started. You're 5 centimeters. What's going on? Like, I was holding on. And a really sacred part of the pregnancy was being in your container, Ashley, the wellspring container, and being in that's a big theme during this pregnancy was like going from self-initiation where I either knew it or didn't know it to formal initiation. And so water priestessing being a huge part of that. I had a 20-year self-initiation with water that brought formality to for me. And so getting on the calls and being with other women and then acknowledging the merman in the womb. I mean, he just loved it. He just loved the attention. And so our final wellspring call was just 2 days before he was born. And I really believe that there was something we returned to the ocean in that last call, that last circle. And his name, Merrick, means ruler of the sea. And there's a lot there. Like I've had profound healing experiences with him in the womb. I did my first Reiki training during pregnancy with him and received a Reiki healing from him in the womb to me. It was
wow.
very profound. And so we have it's, I mean, every relationship with a child is special. And I'm just delighted at the relationship I have with my son that I had in utero. And then we're evolving now here with him here. And so it was very clear he wanted to be born in the water, which he was in our bathtub. Labor, so my water broke with him, which didn't happen with the girls. My waters broke in labor, in the pushing phase. So with
Mhm.
him, my water broke. And so I was leaking, gushing like waves, water for almost 24 hours. And so contraction, I just thought it would be like before, and it was not. It was soft and it was a surrender. It was how much can I let go? And so it was pretty much like vigil going on. I had contractions maybe 12 hours in, every 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes on the dot, and they were the same intensity. And so I told Steve, like, go back to bed. It's the middle of the night. I lit candles all over the room. I already had the birth altars. And it was this like orgasmic 6 hour experience on the floor, surrounded by candles, surrounded by my birth hour, surrounded in communion with myself and God, Mother, Father, God. And I kept going into altered consciousness being on a beach, like a Hawaii beach. And it was like the waves would come up and tickle my feet. And like then they come up a little more, and then they hours and hours of this. And anytime I'd click into my mind or my ego would kind of be like, let's get on with this. Like, I want him here. The message was, what's the rush?
Mm,
So that was really the message of early labor was, what's the rush? And it was the messages I got were, I have I'm already in my divine feminine, my embodied divine feminine, and I went on a very conscious journey. Well, surprise, I was called to have this healing with the masculine that started in Glastonbury in 2015.
mm,
Um, so longer, 9 years. And then that went on a conscious journey. But what showed me was that I was still holding the masculine at bay. I hadn't been integrated.
mm,
And so it was as if the message of early labor was, what's the rush? And that was the gift of the masculine to hold me, that my preoccupation with time was an unsupported divine feminine. And so it was like love came as water came in to all these places in my being. It was just beautiful. It was so delicious. And so it was this letting go. It was my feminine letting go at this another level and a soul level of exhale of now is my time in this lifetime to be held by the divine masculine through my husband, through my son, through God, through myself. And so the part that surprised me, so it was like this reworking of relationship with being held by the masculine in relationship to time and space. And then at the very end of that, I got this flash of a stillbirth and in the water. And I had no emotional response to it. And it felt like I didn't go into the mind about it, but it like came in and came out. And it felt like being tapped into the field of all mothers.
yeah.
Like it felt like, it felt like that. So, but I was like, and I didn't go into my head about it. But then so then the midwives came over. It was the morning and they said, your water has been, we have to spur this on. So then it was like the breast pump and the herbs because it just wasn't progressing, which could be because of him. He wasn't fully ready or my age or who knows. I didn't experience this before. Labor just progressed. And so after about an hour of the herbs and the breast pumps, labor progressed. And it was on. And then I think it was like 2 hours from that until he was born. And I was listening to my hypnobirthing and I was in the water and I was fully present. And it was like every contraction, what was different with this birth was like I was co-creating with it. I wasn't just like passively like letting it happen, which was very authentic at the time. I had intention. And it was like a bell was going off in my hips, in my womb, in my yoni, in my every part, like wake up, wake up, wake up. And that's really what this opportunity of this baby is me recommitting to living fully, not parts of me being resentful of what it is to be human and like all of the things. Like it was me fully waking up to I'm here and I want to be here and I want to do this next adventure and like really engaging with life fully, not these any parts that have been shut down. And so it was like a bell going off and it was very intense and beautiful and primal and it was like it's me. Like I was in my priestess self fully, and Steve was there, and then Merrick was born, and he had a really hard time breathing, and he was born blue, and then he like purple, and I was like, and that hadn't happened with Isis and Arya, and I was like, and then I remembered that flash the night before.
Mm.
And I had this moment where he is in my arms, like I birthed him and he's in my arms and he's getting purpler and purpler. And I had this suspended moment where I just was the prayer. I was the living prayer. And I didn't have any attachment to have him breathe or not. It was just this most open experience of bridging the human and the divine. And just like this culmination of like it's all gifted time. It's all gifted time. And like whatever his destiny is, like there was this suspended reality of not knowing what was going to happen and not trying to manipulate an outcome, and just this pure unconditional love of him, of me, of everything. And that's really, and then I could hear myself saying things, but I was having a different experience.
Mm.
And then the midwives came and gave him oxygen. And then and the girls had walked in at that time. They didn't want to be at the birth. It was too intense. But then all of a sudden I look up and Isis is weeping and I hear Merrick crying. And my sister and my daughters are in the doorway. And it was just this like, it was like Jubilee. It was just like, oh, and then it just came in. It was like, what's the rush? And this all gifted time. And it was just like, whew, it was so. And then I looked down and there's my son and he's pinking up a little bit. And I looked at my husband and he's in the water, like, oh my God. And the midwives are there. We're just, and it was like, so the real, as I've been integrating Merrick's birth experience, my birth experience with him, it is absolutely unconditional love. It is absolutely unconditional love. It is love without attachment. And I feel a peace in my human experience and my mothering that feels very mature. It feels like a maturing of what's the rush, right? The timelessness, the moon and the stars and the ocean and the waves that come in and out, and the gift of this short yet long human experience. And there's this yeah, this evolution of my purpose here, and um my relationship to mothering, my relationship to all of it. So I mean, I could go on and on, but I'll stop there. So because yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that precious moment and that tension before the Jubilee. It's just, oof, like this is life. I feel like it's just such a microcosm of the macrocosm of life, and even this transition that we're going through now of moving to a new country and being very unknown, and you know, and of course it's my country, but it's just like that tension before the release that is just that's the flow of life, and it's like, can we just get used to that and just be in it? And this feels like the initiation that you've been through of the timelessness and just surrendering to that pulsation of life continuing on. And it's interesting that that fear came up for you because my mother had a stillbirth um before me, and so this is a big part of like our family story. And I've had dreams where I was her, and I had that experience in my dream, and it felt just like you said of you know the the connection to all mothers, and we all go through we all go through different things, but we're one, and so we can feel what others have gone through, and as we actually allow ourselves to feel it and process it and let it move through our body, it can be released. It can keep going. It doesn't need to get stuck and like actually, I don't know, maybe doesn't actually need to play out. Maybe it does because of different people and different timelines and different stories. But thank you for that. It's so magical to hear your story, and I was just like right there with you, and holding that so precious.
Mm.
And and I just, yeah, so I'd love to hear about the placenta being born. Did you birth that in the water as well? Did that come pretty quickly after?
So we, as soon as Merrick started breathing, midwives got us immediately over to the bed to like just support, continue to support him. It took a while to get him fully pink. And then I was shaking uncontrollably. And so it was a totally safe birth. I only tore the tiniest bit, like he was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. It was a
Wow.
very gentle birth, really. But yeah, we wanted to get out of the water, warm him up, warm me up. And then it was maybe 20 minutes later, the placenta was born. And she was beautiful, like, oh my gosh, just this tree of life, and
Oh,
the cord was so long. And then yeah, and
and it just birthed out naturally, like you just, yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah.
nice, nice.
Yeah. And then was just in bed, like in my bed. It was so beautiful to get to birth at home, in my home, and stay in bed and didn't leave the house for a long time. Just everything came to me. It was like all just bed. And Merrick has been, I call him my angel baby. Like he knows, I have two teenagers. Like he knows what's up. Like we go to bed at 8 and we wake up at 7. Like I've gotten 6 to 10 hours of sleep a night.
Oh,
The only one 6 hour night. Like, and he wakes up to nurse, but we nurse in bed. I fall back asleep. Like we are just in this dreamy, yummy. And I say this, if you're listening and you have a baby that's not letting you sleep, I had one of those too. I'm not trying to rub it in, but I just want to say what's possible. Like
yeah.
it is better than I could have imagined. My
Wow.
intention of nourishment and my experience, like this time I got to experience exactly what I wanted. Even so, during my fourth trimester, my dream, and it's been something I've tried to create and then it gets taken away a lot of times, and I just let it go, of having the farmhouse, the modern farmhouse in the country on acreage and homesteading. My man has bought us the modern renovated farmhouse on acreage.
Mm,
He just signed the papers last week. It came out of nowhere. I'm not going to say the address because I don't want you to be able to find me, but it's on the name of this road is literally like I can't make it up. And the family's moving to France. So like literally I've been thinking like they're leaving everything behind. Like anyway, and it has a spring. It has a spring. So water priestessing, it's like the waters and I feel like it's important to share this vision alchemy because after my birth, I created space. I created a lot of gratitude, anchored the celebration and the receiving of like, wow, thank you for the actualization of my heart's desire. Because sometimes they don't come, right?
yeah.
And then I gave it some time and then this one came in. I can't find it, but I have it memorized. I am so deeply grateful and soul satisfied now that I am home, raising my family in peace, love, harmony, and connection. Homesteading and visionary partnership with Steve, growing organic food in abundance, keeping bees, chickens, and goats, tending the sacred waters, and enjoying my own beautiful heaven on earth. Thank you, God, for making it so obvious where we are supposed to be and for handling all the details. It came in. It has the bees. Anyway,
You're
so
on a roll. It's like, and I can feel it. What I love about your visions is like I can feel it. I close my eyes and I'm right there with you. It's not, it feels very grounded. It feels like I can feel, see, taste, hear, touch, smell, everything you're saying. And I think that's a big part of the magic. And I see the smile on your face and I'm like, she's there too. Like we're there together.
It, well, it's like tuning into the radio station, right? It's
Yeah.
like, which radio station do I want to tune into? And so, yeah.
Wow, wow, so powerful. So I'm so happy that you shared about that and also about Wellspring. Like that's just so profound for me, the first round of Wellspring, which you also just so helped to doula that into the world. And then you were a part of it, which is just such an honor and gift. And then having you be pregnant in it and then like give birth right after we finished and have that be such a profound, impact on your baby as well. It's just like such a soul confirmation for me and for all of us to just follow our soul's calling. I wanted to teach a course about water, a priestess course about water. Like, who thought that they could do that? It's possible. And not only is it possible, it's like there are souls waiting for it. And it could be such a gift to help support people in bringing life to this world and bringing whatever it is they're meant to bring to this world. So thank you for touching on that so much. And I just want to ask if there's anything else that you want to share, anything magical, dreams, miracles, or anything else about your birth experience or your postpartum, fourth trimester that you just feel that you want to share before we close.
Mm. It's just, it's such a tender topic. So I just, you listening right now, I really, yeah, I want to like really bow to you, spirit to spirit, and whatever your experience is or has been, my prayer is that that there's no self-judgment or like tying self-worth, being a good woman with the experience, both either positive or negative.
Mm, mm. Amen. Thank you so much. And I really second that and find that to be, yeah, so profound. And if someone listening does want to anchor in a vision that they might have for their birth or for their homestead or for anything else, what is your top tip or advice for them?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been getting asked so much about this. And so I'm doing a podcast relaunch party. And so if you go to my website, there is a free, it's called Vision Alchemy. So it's a free workshop. It's not till December 21st. So if you're listening to this in October or November, but you can get on that and join me it's going to be a very magical experience. I'm not holding anything back. I'm not making an offer at the end. It's sincerely like exactly what I've been doing for 20 years now, and how you can connect with and craft and refine your vision alchemy statement for your birth or anything else that's important to you.
Amazing. I will definitely be there and I will definitely put the link in the show notes so that everybody listening needs to go sign up for that right now. It's going to be amazing. Learning from Sasha is the best. So and she hasn't offered something for a really long time. So like whatever she's offering, like get in on that. Yeah, thank you so much for this incredible conversation. Thank you for putting it all out there, for really, yeah, sharing vulnerably and authentically with us. I think it's the most valuable thing. And I just so honor and appreciate your vulnerability and authenticity that I've witnessed throughout the whole time that I have known you. And I'm so excited to keep getting to know you and to be in the long game with you and really building relationships for the long run. It just feels like you said, we're reuniting in this lifetime, and that we get to, yeah, just keep learning from each other and weaving our magic together. So thank you so, so much. And we'll see you again on the podcast sometime.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Bye.